Hi there, this is Brett Lonsdale, and I'm here with Sandy Usia. How are you, Sandy?
Very good, Brett. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. So we're finally in a country that's a lot warmer than the country that, or the place that you're in, I guess so.
I didn't know that. How warm is it there?
Yeah, well, I had to look it up, but it's currently 6 degrees Celsius here, and you're only
Oh,
got three. You're like half the
oh
temperature of
wow.
England.
And that's because I'm in northern Vermont.
Oh, so you drove up there.
Yes, yes. A 3-day drive.
Fantastic. Did you have lots to talk about with with Alex?
Traffic, I guess. Yeah, it was very trafficy. Yeah, luckily we missed most of the bad weather because there was this really bad storm coming over northeast
Mm.
US and we were trying to dodge it, which we mostly successfully did. Just had some rain and a couple places like around DC and Baltimore, but then we missed the actual snowfall, like driving through snow, which wouldn't have been good in our little Florida Mini with no snow
Oh,
tires.
those minis, they cut through the snow. It probably wouldn't have been good.
Mm,
Yeah. You'd have been passing all those big American trucks that are rear wheel drive and
I
no
don't
weight on
know.
the back
Yeah, I don't
axle.
know. Well, that's what you have to worry about is how other people drive, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al had to remember his northern driving skills, winter driving skills.
I bet he was enjoying putting the handbrake on a few times. Cool. Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you had a great Christmas
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, Happy New Year and Happy New Year to everybody listening as well.
yeah,
So yeah, that's really the topic of the show as well as the new
yeah,
year.
yeah.
So we spent the last few weeks of 2022 just looking at our products and our product roadmap and so on for this year. Um, so there's quite a few things that we won't divulge the detail just yet, but we are putting some roadmaps together for each of the products, and of course soon we'll be able to talk about those in a bit more detail and what to expect in each
Yeah.
release. And that's why we're not going to mention anything now because you'll hold us to it. So
Right. Although I do want to add that a lot of that, or I would say maybe most of that, comes from customer feedback. So yeah, we go through each product carefully, one meeting at a time, and with our whole product group, and look at feedback that we've had from customers during the past year, and see what we feel like would be useful to add to the product. So
yeah,
you should see a feature you've requested coming soon to a product near you, possibly.
exactly. And that's not just an annual thing, that's actually a
Right.
weekly
Right.
thing. We have
Right.
an R&D meeting every Monday, and in that meeting, yeah, we take on board the feedback that we've received and so on
Mhm.
from customer feedback directly to the salespeople, also to myself because I generally do the demonstrations, or to you when you cover a demo, and also through tech support as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, we're always listening on how we can improve the product, and
Mhm.
yeah, you don't have to wait till the end of the year for that one.
Right.
But it's true that there's some things that are kind of big features that people have suggested, and it's not just going to be something that's going to be turned around within a week or two, but
Mhm.
would make it on the roadmap for the following year.
Mhm.
And those get surfaced in a swap meeting. And again, the swap meeting is not just a technical meeting; it's something that we include the sales team on. We include marketing. We also include tech support and the developers as well. It's great from the point of view if you've not done a SWOT analysis before. You can actually use it on anything.
Mhm.
It's great. So if you are looking to improve something, it might not actually, like I say, even be a product. It might be your entire company. It might be a process, or a role, whatever it is inside the organization. You can look at the strengths of whatever it is, that entity. You can look at the weaknesses, as well as the opportunities and the threats. And those opportunities and threats tend to be more of these sort of external things, as the
Mhm.
strengths and weaknesses are things that yeah, we recognize about the product internally and so on as well. So yeah, we look at all the strengths of the products, and that of course helps marketing. It
Mhm.
helps the sales team because there's things that come up maybe from a technical point of view that sales and marketing hadn't considered
Mhm.
before. So that allows us to have a stronger message when we're positioning the products. But it also helps the developers to also know what is considered to be a strength of the product too. So
Mhm.
some of the features that they've developed. Um, and yeah, you kind of feel a lot of love for the products when you go through that too.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And then you get to the weaknesses.
Mhm.
The good news is that weaknesses list is nowhere near as big as a strengths list. But yeah, some of those weaknesses that we do identify could also well become opportunities,
Exactly. Mhm.
which is nice. So we can map things through
Mhm.
to make it an opportunity to overcome that
Mhm.
weakness. Or if we can't, it's something that there may be a workaround for, or it's something that yeah, we can consider at a later point
Mhm.
to improve upon.
Mhm.
And then yeah, opportunities are again not just developing features. There may be opportunities like, there's an event that
Mhm.
aligns well with one of the products or something like that. So that could be something which would allow us to market the product better or what have you.
Mhm.
And then there's threats as well. So this could be Microsoft evolving their
Mostly.
product, squashing us. So somebody gave me the analogy once of Microsoft being like a big steamroller and with a little mites in front of the steamroller, like picking up the pennies and just rolling along behind us. But but yeah, there may be some threats that it could be, of course, competitors or whatever it might be.
Mm.
So
And I would say too, on those annual, when we talk about this from an annual standpoint, that and kind of do all the products together, it gives us an opportunity to have some overarching themes. Like last year in 2022, I would say something that came out of our SWATs was that we needed some more to provide some more help. And so we designed the new help centers for each product and added the in product guides for each product. And so I think that all, if I recall, that all came out of the 2021 end of year SWATs.
yeah, absolutely.
And we did that in each product. So it's not only the specific things, but yeah, being able to have sort of a annual theme, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely right. So yeah, that helps us to sort of look at those weaknesses and look at those opportunities and determine yeah, what we might want to build
Mm,
out into the roadmap. And then of course there's
mhm,
other features as well that just are ideas either of us internally or externally too. So
mm. Yeah, we do a
yeah,
lot of brainstorming in those meetings where nothing is the wrong answer and
correct.
just
Yeah,
thinking like what could, thinking outside the box a little bit and what could it be?
yeah, yeah. And you can hear the developers squirming sometimes at the thought of having to develop some of those ideas that come out, but
But then they do it.
exactly. So yeah, there's some fantastic ideas that come out for sure. And yeah, even if it is something that's like really far-fetched, would be cool. We investigate it, see
Mm,
whether it would be possible, and sometimes it might be something that isn't possible with the SharePoint framework. Maybe there's a limitation there or something like that, or whatever it might be. It's but it could be something that materializes down the line. So maybe our hands are tied at the moment with
mhm,
Microsoft limitations, but if they get freed up, then yes, of course, that could be something that might even be developed next year as opposed to this
mhm,
year. But that's the sort of thing that we could investigate and have a
mhm.
look at.
Yeah, yeah, at least we've captured the idea.
Correct. Yeah,
Mhm,
absolutely. Great. So yeah, we should have some like I say, fresh new roadmaps coming out over the next week or two for you
mhm.
to take a look at, and then we'll start a release schedule on each of those different products, and you'll be able to join the webinars and so on too.
Yep.
We do have a webinar actually this month, which
Mhm,
is not in line with the release, but it's a webinar just on one of our products, which is the Data Viewer. So it's something I think we just had one webinar beginning of last
mhm.
year on the Data Viewer.
Okay.
So we're going to take a look at that again on how we can use the Data Viewer to connect to different data sources, whether they're data sources inside of SharePoint or also externally to SharePoint as well, and to be able to build reports on that data inside of WebPart, or also charts as well, and that type of thing. So some good examples actually might be uh, if anybody is I guess been around in SharePoint as long as we have, you may remember Excel Services. This is
Mhm.
a great example. So Excel Services, I think, was retired after SharePoint 2007.
I think so too.
Maybe it's 2010. I can't remember, but
Mm,
yeah, Excel Services actually allowed you to put an Excel workbook into a document library, and as long as you had Excel Services, which is an enterprise feature, there was a number of different Excel web parts that you could connect to, and basically connected to a named object inside the Excel workbook. So it could be like a chart or a table inside that workbook, and it would surface it as a web part on your SharePoint page. So that was retired, and that's not really the reason why the data viewer exists, but that is actually still a capability of the data viewer. So of course, there's still a lot of Excel workbooks. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that they exist, but they do exist. So yeah, if you do have some Excel workbooks inside a SharePoint document library, and people don't really have the time to go in and first of all remember where that file is, or what it was called, or whatever, you can actually just surface the summary information out of that Excel workbook and display it right there on the page. So yeah, you could get some meaningful reports out of it. It could also be SharePoint lists or SharePoint libraries where you want to be able to summarize some information in there as well, or it could be a relational database stored in SQL, or even an on-premises data source where you expose that data through something like OData and display it that way. And also BCS is one of the other things that you can connect to too. So so yeah, there's lots of different data sources that you can connect to, and then you can use things like conditional formatting and grouping, summary functions. You can connect multiple web parts together for your one-to-many joins, and that type of thing. So yeah, some really powerful features around that. And when you think, we're obviously a small company, but when you think about how much time we sort of go digging sometimes for information, and this is actually a prime time of year for that. It might just be we want to know how many downloads we had of each product versus the sales revenue for each product, and so on. Well, I have to go to two different places for that. I have to go to the website to find out how many downloads there was, and do quite a bit of digging there, and then I also have to go into our CRM system to find out sales revenue per product and be able to split that out and what have you. So there's two different sources. There could be opportunities that we want to look at as well, which is again maybe another entity in the CRM system. So if you didn't have that know-how on how to retrieve that information, you could just have it as that's a dynamic display on a SharePoint page, and all you have to do is navigate to that SharePoint page to see that information at any point in the year. You don't have to wait for somebody to go and gather it at the end of the year and display it as static information or a snapshot at that one time. So so yeah, you could make if one product stops selling, you don't want to realize that in a year's time,
right.
Or if nobody's downloading it, you really want that to flag up every month, or whenever you decide to look at that page. So that's the sort of thing that it could have a dramatic effect on your business and how well you perform. So and yeah, it has charting capabilities too. So yeah, you could have bar charts, and again, product sales, product downloads, that rather than just seeing numbers, being able to see that as a bar chart would be more powerful.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. Yeah, so
yeah,
people should register for the webinar to get more details on that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say it's one of the because we don't hold a webinar on the data viewer all that often, it'd be a great one to join and maybe share your feedback as well. Perhaps there's other areas that you can see that we could improve on. And one thing that did come up actually in the SWOT for this product was how it's quite often compared to Power BI. And yeah, if you did do a like-for-like comparison between the two products, Power BI is going to win hands down because it's just got a whole bunch of business intelligence features, but that's not really the right comparison because what we're looking at here is somebody who's a business user who again has the Excel workbook or whatever that's local to them inside their SharePoint site. They want to surface that information.
So not have to learn a whole tool to do it.
Correct, and it's dynamic, so you get like multiple or as many refreshes as you want. There's no billing around that. So it's really straightforward to actually build some reports, build some charts, and so on. But yeah, if you want to get deep into business analytics, it wouldn't be the right product for you. But yeah, if you want to summarize some data that you've got, then yeah, absolutely, it's a cinch. So it's really easy to create that.
Yep.
So So yeah, we'll be doing that, and
Mhm.
that is, if I remember the date, it's a little bit abnormal. I think the
23rd or something.
I think I may have moved
Oh,
it slightly because I did have a conflict, unfortunately. But let's have a look. It's 26th. Yeah,
oh,
it's
okay.
the 26th of Jan. Yeah, so it's right at the end of the month as opposed to the third week of the month. So yeah, we'll be going through it then.
Okay.
Which should be
All
good.
right. I will put a link in the description to register for the webinar.
Cool. And then yeah, we also have another webinar following that one that you can register for, and that's a brand new product actually through one of our partners, which is the Kudzu.
Right.
And Kudzu's developed a tool that will actually migrate InfoPath forms to Lightning forms, but
Super
also Word forms or PDF forms,
cool.
and even a drawing of a form into Lightning forms. So yeah, some really cool developments there, and I'm really looking forward to showing off that product too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And we've got some events coming up. So Sandy, do you want to talk about some of the events that are...
Well, sure. Well, I know that we are going to be at the European Collaboration Summit in May. Lightning Tools will be there. I will be speaking on, let me remember, I think notifications or automation in Teams. I think that's the session that was accepted that I'll be talking on. I'll have to look that up. But and then we'll have a Lightning Tools booth, and yeah, so you can come and meet us there. That's always a really good conference in Düsseldorf, Germany.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one. That'll be a fantastic event. And yeah, there's also Thrive, which I think we mentioned
in Slovenia.
Yeah, that's the week or so after,
Right.
thereabouts. And yeah, some events later on in the year as well. You know, once conference season starts after the summer, there's of course going to be ESPC. That's going to be in Amsterdam, so we'll be there.
Right.
We're registered to sponsor that one again. And oh, what else is there? Oh, there's a few on the radar anyway that may be coming up. So, so yeah, it'd be good to see everybody.
We're working again with the National Museum of Computing, right, this year?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so dating back to 2021, we started to work with the National Museum of Computing here in the UK, which is based on Bletchley Park, which if Bletchley Park means anything to you, it's it's basically where Alan Turing and his teams, they cracked the Enigma codes coming from Germany during World War II. Using the bomb machine and Colossus and so on, which can be seen working inside that museum. And when I say seen working, they were top secret. People didn't even know that Bletchley Park existed at the time, and these machines were blown up after the war, after these Enigma codes were cracked, and of course, the World War II was over. So they were discovered and then basically re-engineered into the computer, and they managed to find out the history of it. And so, yeah, so they are in place on the spot where that all happened at Bletchley Park. So you can go there, you can have a look around all these World War II machines, and they've actually got lots of different rooms that go in decades from the 40s to present day. So yeah, it's strange when you go into a museum and it's stuff that you remember as a teenager or as a kid. You're like, yeah, we had those at school. And even like some of the first mobile phones, and it's like, my dad had one of those. So yeah, it's really cool. But what's even cooler is the stuff that they do for the community. We initially got involved because of the pandemic. They couldn't open the doors to the public, so therefore they didn't have their income revenue, and they were suffering to meet their rent demands and so on. And of course, it would have been a crying shame if they had to close. So yeah, Lightning Tools were able to help them out in some way, as were a few other organizations. And it was actually the Microsoft MVP program that raised this concern with the National Museum of Computing. So it just shows what the MVP really does stand for the community and so on as well. So what we specifically got involved, one of them was with an autism program. So they had a number of young adults who were finding it difficult with autism to get jobs, and very, very skilled in IT, but not hireable by a lot of organizations, or at least organizations weren't prepared
maybe.
to hire them. So yeah, their program would actually work with employers to help them to understand autism, but they would also help the delegates as well to understand working life and so on, and actually help to find them positions in IT. So they would have mentors and so on come from different organizations that would work with them, which was fantastic. So we provided some equipment that would help them. So that was that success. And then Jackie Garrett approached us again and asked us if we were keen on sponsoring the Kids Ambassador Program, which is a similar sort of thing, but it's for children. I think from the age of 10 can go to the National Museum of Computing every other week. It's free, and they can learn things like it's starting off really with things like Minecraft to sort of teach the basics, but then getting into things like Python and using Microsoft CodeMaker and using the Raspberry Pis, doing stuff with robotics, things like the spheres that you have, and BBC microbits as well, all sorts of things. I have a lot of these things actually here. Because I went and bought them all so that I could actually be a couple of steps ahead of these 10-year-olds when we were doing some mentoring. So that was really cool. So yeah, you can basically get these LED displays to do different things using some Python and things like that, which is really good. So yeah, we provided some equipment and also some funding to help that be free for the children, which is great.
And doing that again then this year.
Yeah, so we renewed that for 2023. Awesome. So yeah, so that's a program that can continue. So
cool,
exciting stuff. So yeah, if you're interested actually in the National Museum of Computing, the work that they do, you can go to tnmoc.org, and on their website they also have a calendar of events where you could register your children. So if you are in the UK and you want your children to attend that, they can, as long as there's availability, of course. But they also have some other events that they put on. There's going to be a virtual museum tour. So if you are further afield than the UK, can't make those dates, in person, at least you could attend it virtually and do a virtual tour. And we've done that in the past. It's really interesting. So yeah, so great, excellent.
I think that kind of gives us an overview of our coming year.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Hopefully it's going to be an exciting one. So.
Yes, I'm sure it will be.
All right. Well, Sandy, it's great to see you in 2023.
Good to catch up again.
And yeah, we'll see you very soon.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.